Hello, and welcome to the Best Football Show. I am Brian Baldinger, originator of Baldy's Breakdowns right here. Little selfless promotion. You can find this Best Football Show by downloading a free Odyssey app, right? And then just liking it, subscribing to it, following it, commenting on it. We love talking football here. 3 days a week. We're here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And, of course, today is Christmas Eve. It is the day before the NFL draft, and you can find all the work I've been doing on the NFL draft over the last 2.5 months on all of my social media platforms at Baldy NFL. And, 2 years ago, I predicted that the Falcons would draft Michael Penix Jr. I hit it spot on. Last year, I predicted that Jacksonville was going to trade with Cleveland to take Travis Henry, and they did that. Now, I don't know if this trade concept that I have is going to come to fruition because anything could happen in the last hour. But I feel like there's one player in this draft outside of Fernando Mendoza that teams might want to trade up to get. And I think he's the best player in the draft, and that's Jeremiah Love. I think we're looking at Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Adrian Peterson. We're looking at a real game-changing running back. When I saw him at the NFL Combine this year in Indianapolis, there he was after everything he had done. He was there catching passes like a wide receiver, running routes. And he wasn't there to show off. He just had time on his hands. He had quarterbacks there. We're on a football field. That's what he does. He reminds me of Saquon and Bijan personally, like just a squared away guy, class act, bundle of talent. And so I'm looking at him and I go, okay, Mendoza goes to the Raiders, fine. The Jets don't need a running back, all right? They've got Breece Hall. They've got two other young guys. Arizona's picking third. And they've got a lot of holes. They got a new staff. If Arizona sat there and took if they took Jeremiah Love, it wouldn't be a bad pick. I just don't think he's ready to blossom. Just the way last year the Raiders took Ashton Genty and the team, he just wasn't ready. The team wasn't built yet in the right way to let him flourish. So I feel like, okay, if Julian Love is the best player in this draft, and I think he is, what team would come up to 3 to get him so that maybe Tennessee doesn't get him or the Giants don't get him? And I feel like that team is Washington. I feel like Adam Peters is looking at Jeremiah Love going, all right, we had a great Jaden Daniels rookie season. We went all the way to the NFC Championship game. And who do we lose to? They lost to Saquon Barkley in Philadelphia. And then it all collapsed last year. Jaden got hurt. Like, it just collapsed. But I feel like Jaden Daniels is that guy. Like, he is special. And you can talk about all the running backs they have there. They have a lot of guys, that are just there, But there's no Jeremiah Love there. You can look at everything that they have, and you could say, okay, they can get by. But this is a very good offensive line that Washington has. Cliff Kingsbury is not there. It's a new way of doing things. Like, I could see Washington going from 7 to 3, giving up the 7th pick, giving up their 3rd-round pick, the 71st pick, and maybe they have to give up something next year. But they get Jeremiah Love in that, and you go, okay, we're here to compete this year. And what does Arizona do? They move back from 3 to 7. They can still get all the players they might want. Could be a right tackle, okay? Could be a defensive player. They pick up a 3rd-round pick, and they can still build this team with backup quarterbacks. I feel like that's a trade that could happen. Okay, we've been looking at the division by division and draft needs. Let's start in the AFC East, where 2 teams have 2 first-round picks. The Jets have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. So let's just start building the Jets. Like, I think they're going to take David Bailey. I don't think it's – like, to me, the debate between David Bailey and Arvell Reese just doesn't hold water. Arvell Reese is a great talent, but he's not an edge rusher. Matt Patricia did a good job of working him in a particular front where they went to a bear front in a 5-man defensive line, and he played outside linebacker. Stand-up outside linebacker. And when they were in the four-man front, he went off the ball inside linebacker with Sonny Styles. They built a defense to really showcase his skills. Not every team can do that. He's not Micah Parsons. He isn't. He is a talented player that has to learn how to play on the edge. Okay? Looks like an off-the-ball inside linebacker to me in his 1 year of really playing at Ohio State. So I feel like the Jets take David Bailey with the second pick. With the 16th pick, look, if Mekhi Lemon is there, if Jordan Tyson is there, if Omar Cooper Jr. is there, they all make a lot of sense. A wide receiver, okay? There could be some other defensive players. If Dylan Thieneman is there at 16, you just don't even blink, you take him. But I feel like you get an edge rusher and a starting wide receiver, 16. Let's look at Miami. Miami, look, everything is new. Jeff Hafley, the new head coach, first-time head coach. John Eric Sullivan, the GM, first-time GM. Okay, Malik Willis, first-time starting quarterback. So they got the 11th pick and the 30th pick. Okay, the 11th pick, look, you could go corner here, you could go receiver here, or you could go offensive tackle here. And you probably get a day one starter. Then they have the 30th pick. And to me, like, that's a pick where you trade back. All right. And you get a high second round pick. You get a third round pick. And anybody that's looking to jump up to get a player into the first round could be for Ty Simpson by a team, that wants to get their quarterback. Could be Arizona getting a quarterback. Could be a lot of teams. Could be the Jets. Teams looking to draft a quarterback and maybe Ty Simpson. The 30th pick makes a lot of sense. But they have 7 picks in the top 100. It doesn't make sense to draft 11, 30, 43, 75, 87, 90, 94. Like 7 guys probably aren't going to make your team. Well, maybe they make the team, but they're not going to impact the team. They have a lot of ammunition where they could stay at 11 and pick and get a starting player. But they need a starting corner in the worst way. They need a starting safety in the worst way. Minka Fitzpatrick is gone. Their starting corners right now are Darrell Burke and Duke Storm. They need a starting corner. They need an outside linebacker opposite Chop Robinson. I mean, right now they have Josh Uche and David Ajabo, guys that have failed in multiple places at a starting outside linebacker spot. Is Austin Jackson, is he done at right tackle with the injuries the last 2 years after they paid him? Like, they need so many players for Miami. They could trade up, they could trade back, but they need 3 starters. They need a safety, a corner, and either right tackle or outside linebacker or both. They need to strike gold, much like Cleveland did last year with Mason Graham, with the running backs, with Carson Schlesinger. Like, they got 4 starters, starting tight end. They got 4 starters last year. That's what Miami needs to do. Buffalo is sitting there with a new coach, a new way of doing things. They're sitting there with the 26th pick. They could trade back at 26 because they really don't have a second-round pick. So they have a late third-round pick. They could trade back and get a second and maybe another third. All right? So that would make a lot of sense. The receiving core is weak. All right? Brandon Cooks walked. Gabe Davis walked. They brought in DJ Moore to go with Khalil Shakur and Josh Palmer. Could they use the receiver? Yep. That would fit. They need an edge rusher. They always need an edge rusher. And they need an inside linebacker. So that's kind of what they're looking at right there. And then the New England Patriots are picking at, the bottom of the first, the bottom of the second, bottom of the third round. We kind of know that A.J. Brown is going to get moved, probably June 1st. So that you can figure that they're going to get some compensation, probably a first-round pick, and probably not this year. Probably next year or the year after for A.J. Brown, 27 or 28. So the receiving core is going to be fine. But they lost La'Kavon Chazon, who really had his best year, opposite Harold Landry, who's getting up there. Like, they need an edge pass rusher, probably two, and they probably need a tackle. Now, I think Will Campbell's going to be fine at left tackle, but he did struggle at the end of the season. Can Morgan Moses give you another year at right tackle? Maybe this is where they drafted offensive tackle, Maxi Ihanacher. Like, that could make a lot of sense. Let's look at that. Let's look at the AFC South, because there are only two teams picking in the first round, Tennessee and Houston. Jacksonville doesn't pick till 56. Indy doesn't pick till 47. So let's look at Tennessee. They're picking at 4, at 35, all right, top of the second round, top of the third round, top of the fourth round. All right, so I feel like if Sonny Styles is there, that's what Tennessee is going to take. Now, Mike Borgonzi's a general manager, but you can already tell that Robert Saleh has a lot of pull in that building. He's already made a trade for Jermaine Johnson with the Jets, a guy that he's familiar with, was there at the Jets when they drafted Jermaine Johnson. They already traded, or they already picked up in free agency John Franklin Myers, a guy that he coached in New York. So you can already see that Robert Saleh has a lot of juice. So if you just follow Robert Saleh from his days, coached the defense line in Seattle, they drafted Bobby Wagner, third round. He was in San Francisco when they drafted Fred Warner. He went to the Jets when they had C.J. Mosley. He went back to San Francisco, and Fred Warner's there. Like, I feel like Sonny Styles is as close to Fred Warner, Bobby Wagner as we're going to see in this draft. And it's a good draft. I can see them taking Sonny Styles and at the top of the second round go and get themselves an edge rusher, maybe a Zion Young. That makes sense to me. Houston has been building. They just paid their two edge rushers. All right, Will Anderson just became the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. Rightfully so. And for all the edge rushers out there, Will Anderson is what you want to be. 3-year player, ascending player every year, and then cashed in. But they need defensive tackles in the worst way. They really do. They've got Hunter. They've got Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter. They got Will Anderson. They need defensive tackles. Like, at 28, is Caden McDonald available? Is Peter Woods available at 28 or 38? Is Caleb Banks at 38 available? I feel like defensive tackle is a high priority with either the 28th or the 38th pick with the Houston Texans. And then let's get to Indianapolis. Indianapolis let a lot of players that they've drafted go in free agency, especially on defense. Obviously, they made, Alec Pierce the highest paid receiver in football. They got Josh Downs. They've got the 47th pick. They got the 78th pick. I feel like they need help on defense. Is Josiah Trotter, Jeremiah Trotter's youngest son, is that a guy that you could take at 47? Is Darrell Jackson Jr. out of Florida, who was a late entry to the Senior Bowl this year, got a chance to watch him for a couple of days, is he a guy you could take at 78 and keep that defensive line rotation going and build this defense better in the middle than what they've been? Obviously, they traded the first-round pick away for Sauce Gardner. He's got to get healthy. He's got to get better. That's the AFC South. All right, everybody, that's two different divisions. That's a potential trade scenario. That's all I have for you today. Tomorrow is draft day. We will get to you before the start of the draft tomorrow. Anything that happens today, any news that we hear about it, we'll report on it, and we'll take a look at some other divisions and sort of draft scenarios that could happen in those divisions team by team. Thanks for joining, everybody. Look forward to talking to you on draft day. We're 24 hours away.